Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another not so late night edition of Missing Wolves post game live stream podcast simulcast. I think we're on multiple platforms, so I think we can say that too. I'm your host Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage, and today we got Tim Garrison on the podcast, formerly of CanisHoopus, recently father, if I understand that correctly.
That's right. That's right. Getting used to the fatherhood aspect, so getting as much sleep as possible. Fortunately, I got a great wife, so she's making it pretty easy to transition. And the little ones taking it pretty easy on us too. So the sleep has
That
been better than expected.
Having a good partner helps out a ton. I will say you're still one of the OGs of Wolves Twitter, so we got that still.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's good to see
But
him get back on track tonight too.
yeah, 100%. I mean, it seems like it's already years ago that they lost 3 in a row and kind of vomited all over themselves in 3 straight games, and now we've had 2 pretty good fourth quarters, which let's just get into it. I mean, the Wolves opt to bench Rudy Gobert and then perhaps play the best defense of their season, holding the Spurs to just 19 points. I believe they scored 36. Yeah, 36 in the fourth with Antony scoring 3. I mean, what did you see from this team in the fourth quarter that was just so different?
Yeah. So I think the big thing and why we're seeing a lot more small ball lately is Terrence Shannon Jr. He gives us a big power wing. And it's something that like that physicality from that three spot, we didn't really have it with him being out. So having that presence kind of allows him to play multiple wings. And it's really unlocked that small ball lineup that previously they've been struggling with Nas playing the five, but I think this is the best Nas Reed has ever looked playing the five, and that's a huge revelation. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this. This is something new, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they can keep this up.
Yeah, I mean, TJ helps a ton. I mean, he's just such a big body defender. I feel like he's been defending better, which
Mhm.
Finch kind of talked about it a few days ago of just maybe TJ was dealing with the injury before he
Mhm.
officially got shut down for the injury, and that might be part of the reason why he was pretty bad until he got hurt. But
Yeah.
I mean, tonight, what I think that just the talk of like the post game was they played a ton of zone with Jaden being their rim defender. And I mean, that kind of unlocks a completely different
Right.
puzzle piece. Yeah, I don't know what your thoughts on it, but it looked awesome from watching it in the building.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't remember where I saw this stat, but it was Rudy Gobert as one of the top rim defenders on off. And then a little bit further down the list, you saw Jaden McDaniels. But the thing is, that's not new. I
Yeah.
remember when he first broke out as a defender, it was his second or third year. He was a 98th percentile rim protector. So this is not a new thing for Jaden. But I think with him taking on a little bit more of an offensive role, I think it's allowing him to play off ball. And now we're just
Yeah.
seeing it come to fruition. And that's a big deal because those lineups with Nas and Randle were struggling. But Jaden offering that presence down low is huge.
I mean, it is, and it's always interesting because like whenever we talk to Jaden about it, he's always very like ho hum about his own defensive abilities, but like he kind of can plug any hole that comes up for the Wolves, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. He's all over the place. And then when you have multiple guys like Jalen Clark can step in, Terrence Shannon Jr., you mentioned it, that foot injury, I think it really held him back. He looked slow. You didn't see that explosiveness. Well, it's back.
Yeah.
He might have some Okogie-isms on the offensive end, but on the defensive end, it's you can't question it. He's been fantastic. I think him and Ant were the only people that could even attempt to slow down Dylan Harper. So it was a
Yeah.
pretty good one from him. But it's great to have a team where you have so many wings that you can run that switchable defensive scheme, and that's something that we haven't really had. It's been that Rudy Gobert drop coverage, funnel into Rudy, and being physical at the point of attack. But now we can play in multiple ways, which is kind of exciting because I still think they can get to those Rudy Gobert drop coverages. But if you can play both ways, there's been a lot of onus on Finch. It's been a
Mhm.
really tough start, but Finch is a macro coach, and if we are starting to unlock multiple ways to play right here in November, I mean, this is stuff that can pay dividends if we can get those reps and we can hone in on these different lineups and ways of playing. It's just going to make us a more versatile team. So whoever we play in the playoffs, we can adjust accordingly.
It's all just kind of gaining information at this point, which I
Right.
think we've seen a couple things over the last few games of just like, they found a way to play Rob Dillingham
Mm.
without it being a train wreck defensively. And that's like Rudy needs to be out there, Jade needs to be out there,
Yeah.
Jalen needs to be out there, and Mike needs to be next to him. And it's like, okay, he's strung together. I
Hmm.
mean, tonight he'd had that one bad turnover and then never saw the game again. But like up until that turnover, he's had like pretty good stretches.
Yeah.
And with Jaden, I think we're seeing just other like solutions to problems that this team's has of like, okay, if Nas and Julius are just not going to be great in a dropped coverage together, well, we can throw some zone in there and have Jaden roam around and just
Mhm.
blow everything up. It is a little interesting with this team, and I want to get your thoughts on it, but it still seems like they just do that thing where they don't really appear locked in for like 3
Oh,
quarters, or sometimes it's the first half and then the third quarter all of a sudden. But it,
yeah.
when they flip that switch on, they are all world. I don't know how to explain it.
Hmm. It was another one of those games. I mean, you saw it in the Boston game yesterday. So you're covering those 2 games in a row back to back. But today, one of the first notes I had was the Spurs are getting to the rim, or excuse me, they're getting to the paint at will. And they kind of did all game until that fourth quarter. Uh, and that's just something they're going to have to pick up. Uh,
It
you
has
can't do
to get
that.
better at some point.
You just can't do that. And then, personally, I think in this game, I mean, the Spurs, they're down a couple guys. They're missing Castle, they're missing Wemby. So you expect Ant to feast. If they don't have if the other team doesn't have a rim protector, you expect Ant to score 30. The green light was for Ant, but it's just good to see them to kind of come together, find those lineups down the stretch, and really put it away and stop those attacks and multiple people curling and getting to the painting area. It's just you got to clean it up. We gotta come out with a consistent effort. But it's important to remember it is November 30th.
Going into the fourth quarter, the Spurs were, quick math here, 4 plus 12, a ridiculous 14 of 17 in the paint, which is that's a layup line at that point,
Yeah,
and
no
that's not
kidding.
including the Dylan Harper, Fox, Keldon Johnson kind of get to the mid range and then just pop a shot essentially.
Mm,
I mean, it, but then they just turn it on. I mean,
yeah,
again, the fourth quarter, you can go and look at that lineup that they started with, where it was Mike, Dante, Nas, Aiden, and Julius, and I
mm,
mean, a defensive rating of 77.8 after just getting run ruck shot off of it. It's
yeah.
just insane that they can just turn this on like this. And it's not like they just turn a flip on and they're like a good team. Like they put these stretches together where it's like
Mhm.
you can kind of see the vision of like, oh, they really could probably beat anybody if they just did that for a whole game.
Yeah. So okay, first I just want to give props to Dylan Harper. He is
Mhm.
somebody I really liked coming out, and he just gets to the rim. I can't wait to see what that team becomes with Dylan Harper, Wemby, Fox is in there too. I just had to get that out. Now with that off my
No, that's
chest,
fine. By all means.
with that off my chest, I just want to talk a little bit more about Anthony Edwards making 5 straight 30-point games and
Yeah.
taking over the franchise record. How about that for Anthony Edwards?
I mean, that's been kind of the silver lining. First off, like just
Hmm.
taking a step back, like if they just didn't
Hmm.
vomit on themselves in
Right.
Sacramento and against Phoenix, like I think we are talking about this team completely different. And
Hmm.
it's just 2 games, which is kind of the wild part about it, but like
Yeah.
if they just win those 2 games and then play Oklahoma City that close, I think we're looking at this team of like, oh gosh, they might really have a chance at it
Hmm.
because Ant has just been incredible. Like his shot making has gone up multiple levels. Tonight, he has 5 turnovers in the first quarter, which not ideal, but he had 0 last game. So like
Right.
law of averages, right? But like he's really quickly turning into just, I mean, Finch said it a few days ago of just like he is their point guard, and
Yeah,
I mean, that might just be the solution to the whole point guard thing is if
no
Ant really
kidding.
can do this.
So I'm happy you brought that up because that's the biggest thing going on. I've been pushing
Mhm.
out some trade chatter, and really it's just to outline a realistic move. But I'm not sure we need it because there's some in-house options, and I want to get your opinion because Ant, like you just said, Ant's kind of evolving, taking that next step into becoming a primary lead guard who can run
Mhm.
the entire offense. Uh, it seems like they don't need another guy to take a ton of usage and get the ball out of their hands.
Yeah.
They really just need someone who can attack off his gravity from the
Mhm.
perimeter. So we have a guy like Jaden who's taking that leap. I think we need to try to get him more volume, and that
Yep.
happens with ball movement. But there's also the question mark of TJ. Can he continue to translate his game from Illinois, where he was just an absolute engine?
Yeah.
Now he's got some Kogiisms. He gets out of control and he
The
flails
turnovers are
himself.
tough too sometimes.
Yeah, talk about the new stray voltage of how he just goes to the rim out of control a bit. But what he can do is he can hit shots. I think he's a better shooter than people
Yeah,
realize.
I'd agree.
He's great coming out of college. His stats didn't look it because he was the offense, and he can attack. He's only playing against a shifted defense. When you play next to Ant, it's not like you're seeing double coverage.
Yeah.
You're probably attacking a scrambling guy, or you're taking a
Every
wide
time.
open shot. So I'm
Uh,
kind of curious. I'm kind of curious about your thoughts on this whole narrative of a point guard. Do you think it's something we need to pursue, or do you think it's something that could be solved in house?
I mean, I've been kind of bullish on it of like I don't see how that fixes. Like if you're trading
Mhm,
Julius for Ja Morant, I don't know how that fixes anything. Like Ja's still
mhm,
gonna have the same usage. They're still gonna do the your turn, my turn stuff. Like
mhm,
even if you're like bringing in Trey Young, like the defensive fall off, Julius has been awesome defensively. So
mhm.
like the defensive fall off probably outweighs the offensive, and then it's still like it's just going to turn into like a your turn, my turn offense. Like
Right.
unless you're bringing in 27-year-old Mike Conley, who just understands basketball at a ridiculous level and like understands the like emotional sides of it, and is really just like a pace keeper, which those players are like Derek White, and that might be the end of the list, which
Yeah.
Boston's not trading him, right?
Mhm,
So like I just don't see where like getting a point guard to come in versus like what you'd probably have to give up. It just doesn't make
mhm.
sense to me. So then it's like, how can you maximize the roster the way it is? And honestly, it
Right.
might be just going full James Harden and saying, Ant, your usage is 45%. You and Julius are going to be in a ton of actions. And then, like you said, like Ant and a Julius pick and roll, like Julius draws players in, Ant going head full steam or stepping back draws players over. And then you just got guys like Dante, who Professor brings up, a plus minus of 142. I mean, he's been
Wow.
unbelievable this season. So, like, you got guys like Dante that can spot up and shoot. You have guys
Yeah.
like Jalen Clark who can back cut. You have guys like TJ and Jaden who can kind of get the ball and put it on the deck, and just using that more. That's kind of like what I would hope for. But
Mhm.
that being said, like Ant is still 24. So it's like, is
Yeah.
his processing speed that like high? Because he also
Mhm,
is shouldering the majority of the like on ball defensive load in the fourth quarter. He's shouldering most of the scoring load.
mhm.
And then if you're adding that on top, it's like now you're gonna have to read an offense, which
Yeah.
that is a ton to ask of like a guy his age. But that's kind of mine in essence of like, I don't see a trade like coming down the pipeline. I think they have enough of like a blueprint to where they can
Mhm.
say like this could work. And then if it doesn't in the off season, deal with it. I mean, I think
Right.
teams are going to be more open to like bringing a Rudy in the off season. Julius's contract is incredible. Like, if Mike resigns on a vet minimum or if he retires, like that opens up a mid level. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of my thoughts. But what are your thoughts on it? Are you around the same kind of idea of just maybe it is we need to just fully lean into Ant?
I think so. There there's a great interview over the summer. I think it was Britt Robson's annual Chris Finch interview, and he was
Yes.
talking about turning the keys over to Ant and what that is. And I think it's time. I think he's proven that he can be that offensive engine. He's picked up the processing speed, but the biggest thing is the handle. Uh, and ultimately, you did a great job of outlining an article on why it's complicated.
Thank you.
Uh, and quite frankly, in my opinion, the only reason it would even happen is because of the market conditions where there's so many guys available. But
Yeah.
that's just rumor. It's like a
Mhm.
rumor that guys are available. We don't know if they will become available. So if something does happen, it's just because somebody that they deeply like and have liked for a long time is there, and they're saying, "Hey, we're going to make our move and we're making our pivot." The other reason why I think it's unlikely is whatever move they make next, it's probably the last bullet they can pull.
Yeah.
Ant's 24.
100%.
Ant's like he's 24. You have time. And this
Mhm.
is a team, this roster has made two back-to-back Western Conference finals. You have time to see what you have in guys like TJ, because what if TJ continues to translate that game? At
Yeah.
the bare minimum, he's going to give you a power wing who can play defense, allow you to play small ball, and that's going to be powerful. But what if he has a little bit more? What if he can, what if he is a good shooter? What if he learns to attack and minimize some of those Okogiisms? Then you maybe get that 90% of what people are craving in a point guard, because in reality, you just need someone on the perimeter who can utilize Ant's gravity as
Yeah.
he goes full Harden. So
I mean,
it's
there
complicated.
couple good comments here. I really like Pitch Marticus? Pitch Marticus.
There you go.
We're going with Pitch Marticus. Mr. 7762, if you will. If
There you
Luca
go.
can be a point guard, why can't Ant? Which like
Hmm.
I that's kind of the if Harden can be a point guard, why can't Ant? If Luca can be a point guard, why can't if LeBron can be a point guard, like why can't Ant?
No
Like
kidding.
if he's at that generational level, like he could. And that's
Yeah.
like the scariest thing is like this is a guy that came into the NBA and people didn't know if he liked basketball. And he
Yeah.
just turned into just a generational talent that is starting to figure out how to read defenses now, which is
Right.
he's been doing this without being able to do that. That's wild. Godfrey, our resident Rudy Gobert fan club leader, Rudy for LaMelo straight up. I think I'd do that one.
There
That
you
one
go.
makes sense. And then
Yeah.
Spencer adds Jalen Clark back-to-back corner threes was a
Yeah, that
pleasant
was
sight to
nice.
see. It was. That guy, I know his celebration is kind of like the prayer hands and like putting it, but like I think that guy might have been praying for one to fall because
No kidding.
it was a slump for him. But um, Pitch, I butchered his name. I appreciate you not just exiting the stream
Hey, we
safe.
got you. We'll call it 7762. We got you.
But like I do really think this team's like what I really appreciate what you said is that this team only really has one more bullet left. Like
Hmm.
this offseason, another pick opens up. They really can't trade any of their first round picks because they're all swapped. They can ditch second rounders, but like then you're missing out on those Jalen Clark, TJ Shannon type of guys you find in the rough, or you can pair a couple seconds to get up into the 20s and get somebody. Like if they were to just say like Julius, Dante, whatever it takes to make the salaries work, bring in Trae Young. Like that's it.
Hmm.
Like now that's your roster. Like
Yeah.
unless you're gonna piece or send Trae Young out for pieces, which at that point it's kind of like Giannis in Milwaukee, which like he's a much like older player than Ant, but like they make that Dame trade and now
Hmm.
it's just kind of done. Like he's
Yeah.
single-handedly dragging them places, which I don't know if that's almost worse than being where they're at now, because
Yeah.
then you got Ant who's just kind of like blowing in the wind.
Yeah. Ryan Rollins, he is the help that's trying to come in and save Giannis in Milwaukee. So, that stuff can happen. You can get the random breakout if you do make that trade. But right now it's November 30th. We got to gather information, and you know what? I get it. Those losses, as you mentioned, vomited all over themselves. They're awful. They can't
I think they would
happen.
admit to that too. Like they were
Yeah,
not. It didn't sound like they were happy.
yeah, and sometimes that's what you need, kind of that kick in the ass. And then it
Mhm.
was really unfortunate that it came out, and the next night the Kings did the same thing on the same errors, and even tonight. So we had this awesome stretch in the fourth quarter. Julius Randle was picking apart the team, and then 5 minutes came down, and they had two quick turnovers. Anthony Edwards tried to fire it to the corner to Julius Randle, and Julius had already cut. And then Randall had another turnover, and I'm sitting there like, no, not again. Please, no. I just watched the Vikings meltdown on national television. I don't need the Wolves to follow suit. But they got it together. And you know what? These are kind of the learning lessons. You're going to have lapses over the course of 82 games. It's going to happen. Um, the good news, there's been a lot of talk about how we had an easy schedule and we should be higher up than we are. But I'm looking at a 7 game stretch upcoming where we got winnable games. We got New
Yeah.
Orleans ×2. I'm scared about playing them 2 games in a row. Sometimes those back to back in the same cities can be a little bit dangerous. But then you get the Clippers, you get Phoenix. You know Anthony Edwards is not going to allow Phoenix and Devin Booker
Yeah.
to win 2 straight.
Jaden might have something to say about that too. He's
Jaden's going
notoriously
to
a
lock him
Devin
up.
Booker guy.
Jaden will not allow it. We're going to see a Jaden nuclear game over there.
Even
Then,
like you
go
said
ahead.
though, even like the Clippers, like that's a
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
I mean the Warriors are
hmm,
playing, which like that's going to be tough, but
yeah,
Kings Grizzlies like that,
yeah.
those are two teams kind of in turmoil too.
I mean, hot take. Do we want the Clippers to beat us just so they improve their lottery odds to the Thunder? I mean, should the teams just roll out a tank lineup for the Clippers the rest of the year? I mean, should we just wave the white flag? We can't have that happen.
Tim, I'm going to throw us over to a couple ad reads when we get back, though.
Yeah,
There's some messages in the chat I'd love to talk to you about. But
yeah.
first, Bills, that happens. Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read. This time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. All right, so we got some chat to read here. First, Professor says, team plays a lot sharper against tougher teams. 100%. Like I think over the entire offseason, we kind of hear all the things of like, oh, they just are going to get better at the margins. They're going to beat up on bad teams. Like, to be honest, this seems like the exact same team as last year, where the playoffs hit, and I have no doubt that they're going to be awesome once the playoffs hit. Like they have way too much talent to lose some of these games, but they, for whatever reason, call it youth, call it inexperience. It's weird to say that when you have like Julius, Rudy, and Mike on a team that like youth is still a thing, but like they wake up for good teams, and when they need to wake up in games, they decide they're going to wake up. I am not a draft guy. I don't know if you are, Tim, but Bennett Sturts next year, facility point guard, would be massive. I don't know who Bennett Sturts is because I watch other than Gophers women's basketball, which I'm that's part of my gig. I watch zero college basketball. So any Bennett Sturts thoughts, Tim?
Yeah, so I haven't watched him. I had to look him up quick on Google just to make sure I knew who I was talking about. But I have seen his name pop up. I really haven't gotten a draft coverage. I'm a huge fan of the 2026 draft. I've seen all the top guys, but I have not gotten to my Minnesota takes yet. What I know is the 2026 draft is probably the best draft in years. You could probably stack last drafts and 2027 together, and 2026 still probably has way more talent. Um, so it's a great year to pick, and it's a great year to pick late because it does not stop after the top five. Uh,
Mhm.
so it's a good year to have a pick. I know we do have our own pick this year, so I expect us to target maybe a point guard. I expect us to maybe even follow up with another wing because if we're going to play an ad-centric lineup and build and pivot towards an ad-centric team, we're going to need two-way players, two-way wings, switchable guys. So I wouldn't be surprised, even though everyone's going to crave a point guard, if they went wing.
What I will add to that is if we are going to go full Harden with Anthony Edwards, you need Trevor Ariza's, Eric Gordon's,
Hmm.
Pat Beverly's. You just need guys that are going to hit open shots, drive when they need to, and play defense. Because if Ant has a 45-50% usage on offense, like you can't expect that guy to play like the
Yeah.
defense that he does off and on. Wolves fan in the chat here says playoff rotation is going to be 8, maybe 9 guys. Nas,
Hmm.
TJ have to play. That leaves 1 or 2 spots for Bite Mike,
Hmm.
Rob and Clark. 1 or 2 guys aren't going to play. Jalen has to be on the floor. There's another comment down here from Godfrey, saying Jalen Clark's defense is overrated. I mean, I'll agree with Wolves fans. Like it probably is going to be an 8-man rotation. I mean, that's typically what we see with Finch when push comes to shove. Like he tightens that up. Nas is a starting center in this league. Like he has to be in there. I think TJ is going to have a ton of responsibility by then, and then it probably, like, I'll be honest, like my bias, I like Jalen's kind of voltage. Like we'll say stray voltage again because of like the cat reference, but like
Yeah.
Jalen just has this ability to like kind of blow things up on his own that I really appreciate. But that also, like, if we're seeing these last 2 games that like just having Mike existed on the court brings this group like a confidence that is, it's hard to explain because like it's
Yeah.
not like he's running the entire offense anymore. It's just like because Mike is out there, everybody has this piece, which, I hate to say like Rob's probably not in a playoff rotation in, November, but like I don't really see a path forward. What are your thoughts on kind of what their ideal 8 to 9-man rotation is?
Yeah, I mean, on November 30th, I would not have Rob in that playoff
Yeah.
rotation. I think the rest of the year, what I'm looking for is I would love to see this team outgrow Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert. I mean,
I
Mike
think
Conley's,
they would like that. I think Mike
yeah.
Conley would like to play 12 minutes a game. Like that guy's knees are like I don't know how he can play as well as he does with
Mhm.
just like how he looks after games.
Yeah. Yeah, you just need to eventually get off of those, not get off of those two in terms of trade, but get away from being so reliant on them.
Yeah.
So I think the last couple of games has been a good step forward. We're starting to see small ball lineups and being able to play defense without Rudy Gobert. I mean, the first month of the season, that was beyond the point guard noise. That was the
Historically bad.
biggest thing. Yeah, I mean, and it was right to talk about because it was bad last year too. Not as bad as the beginning of this year, but it was a concern. It's a legit
Yeah.
concern. So if they can really start to get away from being so reliant on Mike's steady hand and needing Rudy Gobert just to have an NBA defense out there, that's going to be a success for me because I get it. We've been to 2 back-to-back Western Conference Finals. That's going to make fans expect another trip or a linear
Mhm.
progression. Um, but the team is still young.
Yeah.
So if we can start to get away from those pieces that were kind of our floor raisers and start pivoting towards an ad-centric team, and you start getting more production from those guys that you're relying on to be able to do that, that to me is a win, because then you can go into next offseason and maybe you don't need Rudy Gobert anymore. Maybe you don't
Yeah.
need Mike Conley, who's probably going to retire. Who knows? Maybe he's got one more victory lap in him.
I wouldn't be surprised if like Mike Norrie, Pablo, Chris Hine, like there's a lot of like really
Mhm,
accomplished coaches on this bench. It's kind of like undersold how good this
mhm,
staff is, but like I wouldn't be surprised if like Mike Norrie is like a head coach somewhere and Mike is just like on the bench next year.
yeah, no
It
kidding.
wouldn't surprise me at all if he's just like trades in his jersey for a fleece and like is just an assistant coach here. Um, but no, I completely agree with you. Like I think, you know, like I'll just say like to Mike's credit, like again, what he's able to do and bring to this team is ridiculous for like his age and the amount of like wear on the car, if you will.
Mm,
But like the ideal for this team is Mike is the best backup point guard in the league, and
mhm,
someone else is that comfort, which maybe it's Ant by the end
yeah.
of the year, maybe it's Julius. Like if Julius is playing like this, like it's good. He solves a lot of problems.
Mhm,
And to your Rudy point, like if they are able to, you know, like Rudy is still going to be really important to this team, especially like in the playoffs. Like I don't think it's going to be like Rudy's a bench player, but like if they're able to just at least be like good when he's on the floor or when he's off the floor, I think that would go a super long way, especially to like the confidence that they would have going into the playoffs.
mm. Yeah, I mean, we're in a better spot than I think most people realize.
Yeah.
I think we kind of hit rock bottom. It's hard to say rock bottom in November, but it kind of felt like it was much better, and we're a lot closer than the moment felt. Which I
Mhm.
can't blame fans. Game to game, those are horrible. Those are horrible losses, and then to go in and it's OKC after that abomination of 2 games. Uh, but I think even in those times, that Phoenix game before the meltdown was one of our best games.
Yeah.
If you take away the final minute, for 47 minutes, that was one of our best performances. We were
Yep.
dominant. It was a good team. They've fallen off a little bit over the last week, but I just never thought it was as bad as it was made out to be. There's the pieces are here. There's a lot of young players, and because we're relying on a lot of people backfilling veterans, like we're still trying to replace Kyle Anderson and now Nikhil Alexander Walker. There's gonna be a little bit of an up and down as these guys come online. But the fact of the matter is, they're capable. They're very capable. So it's gonna be up and down, but we got a lot of time. We got a lot of time to figure it out.
I laugh because Kyle Anderson still gets brought up probably every
Yeah.
other week in the
Yeah.
building. Like someone in a press conference says something about Kyle, and it's like he
Mm,
hasn't been here for over a year. But like, I agree with you. Like, I think fans have every right to be kind of frustrated because and I've said it on other podcasts, but just like
mhm,
you know, people like me and other people in the media, we hear from the team and we talk to the players and the coaches and all off season, all training camp, all beginning of the season. It was, this is a team that is going to get significantly better on the margins. They're going to be running faster. They're going to be playing harder. Ant isn't going to take games off. Like this team is going to be locked in and that's how we're going to get better. And I mean, just being honest, like, November 30th, we're 20 games into the season. It seems like the same
mhm,
team last season. Like
mhm,
it seems like they still have kind of the same weirdness to them, which I think
mhm.
like that's fair for fans to be like frustrated about because like you're
Yeah.
kind of being sold like a bad bill of goods. Like everyone's telling you this is going to look different and then nothing really looks different. It's like, what the
Mhm,
heck is going on here? I still think they are going to be a team that finishes in the top 4 for the West. And I still feel pretty confident that when this playoff series starts, like whoever they get matched up against is not going to want to play the Wolves. Like
mm,
this team that is built for the postseason. It's weird to say a team that's never won a championship is kind of like front running, but like they kind of play with their food. But we saw
yeah.
last year in the playoffs, like regardless of what you think of LA or Golden State, like the Wolves just kind of put the belts to them. And then, the Thunder is going to be that proverbial question for probably the next 15 years, which Spencer brings up, why are the Clippers tank job is terrible for the league, because the Thunder is going to get that pick. So it is wild. Godfrey asks, where's A-Rod? Are the Wolves moving to Mark Lowry's Utopia City? Not that I have heard of, but that's an elite comment. And we'll kind of finish with this one because we're hitting that 40-minute mark. But just, what do you kind of make of Ant's foul calls or lack of foul calls? Because, like, again, we're looking at a game where Ant was uber aggressive against a Spurs team that was really physical, and he gets 2 free throws despite, he went to the lane a ton tonight. Do you kind of feel like there is, I don't want to say like double standard because that's kind of framing it, but like, do you feel like there is something weird with how Ant gets officiated?
I think it's just a classic case of a guy that is a little stronger and isn't as prone to getting manhandled down low. Ant is so physical where him getting touched on the arm or finishing through contact isn't going to cause him to fall down. He's just going to go right through it. It's the same thing. LeBron actually kind of had a little bit of the same thing earlier in his career. He was so physically imposing. It looked like he didn't get fouled, but even though he was getting mauled. So it's unfortunate. He deserves the calls, and I get why he's frustrated, but I also get really a little bit upset about how, not a little bit, I get very upset about how he picks up a technical. And early on in this game, he was complaining to the ref, walking down the court. We give up an open 3 because he is busy complaining to the ref, and then he gets a technical foul. So it's a 4-point play off of a shot that he missed. I get it, Ant, but I'd love just to see you lock in. You've got to play the game. And you know what? Maybe if you have that better karma, you're not clapping at the refs every 5 seconds. Maybe you can start getting a better reputation and that call comes around. But it's just kind of unfortunate. I do think the league needs to look at it. It's just tough seeing it changing.
That's kind of where I sit on this too, of just like, I feel like Julius sometimes gets like, it's weird because Julius is ridiculously strong and like bowls people over, and he'll get calls, but then Ant won't get calls for like very similar, like kind of physical plays. And like, that's where I kind of scratch my head of like, well, why is Julius getting this, but Ant isn't? Like, is it just Julius has been in the league longer? Like, if that's the case, like, we got to get rid of this hierarchy where like young players aren't getting calls. I mean, the other side of it is like, I do think there's more of a spotlight on it this year, especially with like, people going on Twitter and clipping up 7-minute Shea compilations or like Harden compilations and things like that, where like, I do think Ant gets penalized for just playing through contact instead of just like throwing the ball up in the air and falling down. But I'll be honest, I'd rather have the star player of the franchise I cover play through contact than just throw the ball up and fall over.
And
it's a lot more fun.
And Julius, I think he gets calls because usually he's in those trees where he gets wrapped up. And when Ant is in those trees and he's in those post ups, I think he does get more calls. But when he's flying, like he's flying through the lane and just laying it up like that, yeah, he might get mauled, but it looks so clean. Maybe to the ref official, where even though he's getting mauled, I'll tell you one thing: I wouldn't want to be an NBA ref.
No,
I wouldn't.
Sounds terrible. Like, count me out.
Yeah.
Even if you get like really good like benefits and stuff, I think I'm good. Like, I'm good just sitting here. Teresa and Professor kind of mentioned the same thing here. It was just like, the Wolves were pretty darn close in the Western Conference Finals last year. Like, they got the right juice on the roster. It's just seeing to figure out how they pull that together. And I'm pretty optimistic. Like, let's be honest, like if they make another second round or Western Conference Finals, that they probably go down as the most successful pro team in Minnesota history, which
no kidding.
Like, we give the Twins the 2 World Series, but I don't know, maybe in the aggregate we can have a discussion on that. But yeah,
One quick thing though,
yeah.
on Oklahoma City, and I'll be really quick on it. So I thought that we just lost our cool. Oklahoma City, I think, is susceptible if you can stay focused, limit turnovers, and play a half court game. They're not an elite offense. They get their offense through turnovers.
Yep.
So if you can just stay focused and stay in the moment and not let the constant physical battle bother you, I don't think they're I don't think they're invincible at this time. Uh, so you bring it up. I thought they're actually closer to OKC. I think they lost themselves. And the second they kind of lost themselves in that game. It wasn't game 4. They kind of
Hmm.
lost their cool a bit. Weren't getting the calls at home. Didn't come out with the same energy after. If they can just stay pedal to the metal, and they've got to grow past the refs. They've got to get this monkey off their back where the refs are out to get them. I get they probably don't get some of the calls, but you got to get over it because the championship teams, they don't sit there and whine down the sideline to the ref. They get back and play defense, and they've got to adopt that
I mean,
mindset.
Shea is the perfect example. Like
Hmm.
he doesn't cry for calls. That I mean, for how many times he falls down, and again, this is
Hmm.
going to sound like it's a Shea slander, which like it's technically is, but I'm not trying to like slander him. But like for how many times he's trying to bait a foul and it
Hmm.
doesn't get called, like he doesn't really complain about it that much. He
Hmm.
kind of goes down the court and just gets back involved. But I completely agree with you. Like I would say I think there's like Oklahoma City if like they matched up again in the Western Conference Finals, like I would
Hmm.
put my money on Oklahoma
Oh yeah.
City because like their defense is so good and like it is the type of defense that rattles the Wolves. Like it's the Indiana Pacers, just really physical, scrappy. They can throw guy after guy after guy after you, and that's kind of the stuff that like the Wolves struggle with is when there's just
Hmm.
like a nonstop annoyance at them. But I agree with you, like offensively or the Wolves on defense, like they were playing against the Thunder and they were playing against
Hmm.
like themselves because I don't think
Yeah.
the game was officiated like that terribly. I mean, again, I can go back and watch the Western Conference Finals, but like my recollection is that it wasn't like that egregious, but like the
Hmm.
Wolves really did. I mean, you'd think they were getting like mauled out there,
It affected them. It
yeah,
affected them, and
which it
it
just
can.
was. Like again, it's so much easier to say like, oh, you're a professional athlete, just ignore the refs, but like
Hmm.
all these people are like
Absolutely.
actual human beings too, and
Hmm.
like that stuff is really annoying when you feel like you're being like the other team's being favored.
Hmm. And that's kind of one of those things. If you're a younger player and you're just coming up in the league and you want it so bad, you want to reach that next level, you want to be talked about as the best, and then you kind of feel like you're getting slighted. You may not be getting those calls, but you know what? There's a reason why a lot of superstars don't win until they're 27, 28,
Yep.
29. You know, this is kind of the growth process, and I have full faith Anthony Edwards will get there. And a lot of people looking for a point guard this year. Ant's only 24. He's probably not going to win his first title if he wins one until he's 26, 27, 28.
Yeah.
And you know what? Oklahoma City has a lot of ball handlers they're not going to be able to pay, and they play defense. So maybe that bullet in the chamber comes from their cap casualties a couple years
Yeah.
from now. So
Certainly
it's
could.
just, they've got to learn how to lock in and not let the rest bother them. And it may not be this year. And that's fine.
Hmm.
Um, their best players 24 and they have time, and they just got to keep on staying competitive, giving themselves a puncher's chance, and just seeing what happens.
I mean, and that's what they're doing, right? Like
Hmm.
they're taking that approach of like, hey, we're gonna be in the playoffs again this year. We're gonna have a good
Hmm.
competitive roster. Let's just see what we can do. Tim, I'm gonna call it though. I
Yes,
do
sir.
want to give you space though. Anything you want to promote, anything that you got coming out, where can people follow you on socials? The floor is yours, sir.
Yes, sir. So I am actually on Twitter right now, but I will be launching an Instagram page. Looking for just a little bit more growth on the podcast space here. So keep an eye out for some more action on Instagram, maybe a little bit on YouTube as well. More to come on my social media page on X. For now, through the end of the year, you can catch me primarily on X. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate being on, and looking forward to watching how the Wolves pull this season out here.
Hey, if anything, it'll be interesting. And thank you for coming on. For everyone that's tuning in or that popped in late, this does get released as a podcast. It'll be out tomorrow morning. That would be December 1st. Gosh, we're already in December. Ugh.
Yeah,
But
man.
it'll be released anywhere you listen to your podcasts. If you want to rewatch it right now, it does come out on YouTube as just a full video, and it lives on forever in X infamy history. I don't know what we consider X or Twitter now anymore. I'm so out of that loop. But thank you everyone for listening. We will be back after Tuesday's game against New Orleans. I think that's who they got on Tuesday. Tim,
Yeah, New
help. Is
Orleans.
it Tuesday,
Yep,
New Orleans?
at New
Tuesday, New
Orleans.
Orleans. And if you want some Gophers women's coverage tomorrow, they have Samford coming to town. So I'll be doing my normal bugging players, asking them random questions, and being a nuisance tomorrow over on X covering the Gophers. So thanks again, everyone.